Okay. So this is the percent mobile. So when I went and I showed you, so when we go in, we set up this site. So here under the main menu on the percent mobile, you will see where we have the scan the QR code. So we would click on the scan QR code. It's going to pull up a camera where we can go and scan the QR code to go and add the actual site. Here we can remove a store. So if you have multiple locations on here, so say I have those 2 locations, and if I want to remove a specific location, then I can remove it off of there. If I go and I click on remove store, let me click onto the field liquor, remove store. I'm going to go ahead and remove it, and it goes and it confirms to remove it. So now here, if I want to go and access this specific site, so I would select it. And here on the bottom right-hand corner, do you see where it has GBT local API? So this is showing that we are using that site. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the login screen. And this is where I can sign in, and it's going to be the same credentials that I sign in on Percent POS. So at this site, I'm going to be signing in with 100. There's no password. And I'm going to go ahead and press login, and it's going to log me in into Percent Mobile. So here I'm going to have a couple of different options on the top of the screen. So I'm going to be able to see all active items. If I were to go and select inactive, so it's going to show me just the inactive items. Here I can have it to where it's alphabetized A through Z or Z through A. Here I can go ahead and press refresh, so I can just refresh my items. Here I can search for the item. So if I were to go and click on it, I can go and type in like a specific item that I want to go and be searching for. So it's going to go and pull up those items for me. Or I can also press scan, and it's going to bring up a barcode, so I can go and scan my UPC or the barcode for the item. Here on the top right-hand corner, I'm going to have the add button, so I can go ahead and press add, and this will allow me to add a new item into my system. So here I can go ahead and put in an item. So say I'm going to go ahead and test liquor item. Here I can type in the UPC or the item number or a barcode, or I can scan a barcode, and the same thing when I click on scan barcode, it's going to go and pull up my camera so I can go and scan the barcode off of an item. If you were to go and put a barcode on there, it's going to read the barcode and take the barcode. Okay. Here I would be able to go and select the department that I want to go ahead and put this item under. Price, I can go ahead and type in the price of this item. The cost of the item. Here also I have the options for whether this is going to be an active item, prompt for description, prompt for price, prompt for quantity, if it's food stampable, if this is taxable, if this is going to require an age, if this is an open item, if it allows fractional quantities or negative quantities. So once I add in this or add in all the information for my item, I'll just press add. It's going to go and tell me that I have a new item, test liquor added. So I can go ahead and go back into my items. If I press scan, grab my item, scan the barcode, then it's going to go in, look up my item for me. Okay. As far as the items are concerned, do you guys have any questions or any concerns on how this works?
None so far.
None so far.
No, none so far. Thank you.
Okay. Here also, we do have another different options as far as the menu is concerned. So we can go and click on departments. So here we do have a list of all the departments that are in the system. We can also go and select this, like the items. We can select all inactive departments or all active departments. We can sort it Z through A or A through Z. We can refresh, so it refreshes the department list. Or we can also add a new department. So we can go and click on department, add a new department. So we're going to go and just put this as test department. If we want to go and set a high and a low limit for our department, if we want the items in this department to require an age, if this department's active, if this department has scan data information, so information that is going to be submitted via scan data, this is mainly used right now for the cigarettes, but this is if we can go and select it if it is scan data. Flip chart, if you wanted to include all items in the flip chart. If the items in this department are tax inclusive, if they're tax 1, tax 2, or tax 3. If the items in this department are weighed. If the items in this department are food stampable. If the items in this department require a serial number. If you want for this department for this to be a flip chart item or a hot item. If you want the items in here to allow for layaways, for fractional quantity, or for negative quantities. So once you have all your information stored, then you would just simply press add, and it's going to go and tell you success. New department, test department was added. So if I were to go and search for it, it's going to go and appear over here under my departments. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or concerns in regards to the departments?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Next is the users. So here I would have a list of users, so I can go and same thing, select if this, or I want to see the inactive users or the active users. If I want to sort Z through A or A through Z. I want to refresh if I want to look for a specific user in particular. Or if I'm going to go and be adding a new user into the mobile app. So if I were to click on add, here I can put in the username. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Steph. I'm going to go and put in the password for my user. So I'm going to go and put 2001, put in my first and last name, and select which permission group I'm going to pertain to. Here you can also put in the contact information, so the phone number and an email address for your user, and then the toggle if this user is active or inactive. So once I go and I add in my user, I would just press save. It's going to go and give me a message saying that success, new user step was added. And so my user would appear on my users. Okay, does anybody have any questions or any concerns in reference to the users?
None for me.
No, thank you.
We can add and delete users, items, and departments, right? Or we can only add them.
No, you can delete them as well. So if you go into, say, for example, my user that I just created, if I switch off the toggle to inactive, it's basically going to be removing it from my list of active users.
All right, but it's gonna keep being there in the app. We cannot delete it like us, or like remove it from the list, right?
It will remove it from the active list, but it will show up in the inactive list. So as far as like items, departments, anything in percent for the meantime, you can just mark them as inactive. So they still remain in the system, but you cannot permanently delete them. The only way to permanently delete them would be to go and delete them off of the database. But when you go and you delete certain things, since they are attached to certain tables, that's why we don't mark anything as completely deleted off of the list. Because since the user information or item information or the department information is attached to certain certain items, transactions, things like that, we just mark them as inactive.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So the same thing with permission groups. So you do have a list of the permission groups. So I can go and select in here, and I would be able to go and adjust whether or not my or permission can go and view items, add items, edit items. Same thing with view, edit, or add departments, view, edit, or add users, or view and edit permission groups. Oh, I'm clicking on there and I have to click over here. Okay. So as far as that's concerned, does anybody have any questions or anything in regards to that?
No, thank you.
Okay. And then last but not least, we do have reports. So like I said here, this is going to only show as far as on the mobile application, you will be or our user will be able to have access into what we call the sales by date report. So under the sales by date report, they will be able to see daily, weekly, or monthly reports. So if I were to click on a weekly, then it's going to go and show me my week's worth of sales. If I go and I select monthly, then it's going to go and reflect a month's worth of sales. Here, if you see the transact or the date, so it's showing you the date, the start and the end date, the time frames. So this is reflective of what they have in the POS system. So if I go back to daily, it shows my start and end date is in 21st from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. And then it's going to give you a reconciliation breakdown. Then it gives you a sales breakdown of item or what was sold in cash, non-tax or taxable, non-taxable, tax exempt, tax one, taxable total, and the tax one. So what their taxes were for that time frame. Here also you would be able to see cash. If they do make any credit transactions, you will see credit, debit, food stamps, etc. on the tender breakdown. And the total electronic payments would just be an accumulation of any credit, debit, or food stamp transactions. So those will show up on your total electronic payments in one lump sum. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or any concerns in reference to this?
None for me.
No.
No, thank you.
Here, if I want to go to a selective time period, I can select what is my time, my dates here, and also my times. So if I were to select my date and time on the top, then I can go and adjust it. So if I were to go and select here and I want to go and see view transactions from like June 10th and just transactions from June 10th. So I would select my date and time. And then I can run my report. So it's going to go and pull up my report for June 10th. Okay. All righty. So as far as any other, well, let me go back into my items. So as far as any of the settings or anything in here on percent or on the percent mobile, do you have any questions?
No questions. No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Percent mobile, it's super simple to use. The setup is a little bit complicated. Like I said, right now we are in the works of developing as far as a like a wizard or an installer to be able to make this a little bit more seamless, because there is a lot of moving parts. We are having to access Packet Riot and things like that to be able to use it. So we are going and working on an installer. So the same thing with the software, with Percent itself, we are working on an installer to be able to make the installation of Percent a little bit seamless. But as far as typical troubleshooting with the mobile app is to mainly close out the mobile app. So double click it, close it out, go back into the mobile application and select the store location. So that way you can go and pull it up. I went and deleted my store location over here. You can also go and restart what's the Run app. So those two little windows that I went and I showed you inside the, as far as inside the actual inside the POS system that is running in the background. So those we normally go and just close them out, restart them, and then restart the mobile application, and it goes and it restarts or allows for the user to log in. Okay. Let me go and stop presenting really quickly, and I can go and close this out.